breaking news. Or at least that's how it first appeared across social media feeds. Headlines claiming King Charles had done the unthinkable, erased his own brother from the royal family, stripped titles, seized homes, and rewritten centuries of royal protocol. But when the dust settled, what actually happened was something more complicated, more revealing, and arguably even more important for understanding how power, perception, and accountability now collide inside modern Britain. In this story, we're going to untangle fact from fiction, show how online rumors exploded into global news, explain what's really going on between the King, Prince Andrew, and Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and explore what this moment says about the monarchy's struggle to stay relevant in a country obsessed with both tradition and transparency. Because while Prince Andrew has not been stripped of his titles, the pressure on him, and on the royal institution itself, has never been greater. Let's start with the reality. Prince Andrew, Duke of York, remains a member of the royal family. He still legally holds his title. He still lives at Royal Lodge, the grand 30-room property in Windsor Great Park, under a 75-year lease he signed back in 2003. That lease, negotiated with the Crown Estate, required him to pay an upfront fee of about $1 million and to take responsibility for expensive renovations and upkeep. On paper, that made the arrangement cost-neutral for taxpayers. But in the years since Andrew withdrew from public duties, following his disastrous 2019 BBC Newsnight interview and his subsequent settlement in a civil sexual assault case in the United States, the optics have soured. Critics argue that a disgraced royal living in luxury on a crown property sends precisely the wrong message at a time when ordinary Britons are struggling with the cost of living crisis. It's this tension between the personal and the institutional, between private leases and public expectations, that has made the Duke of York a lightning rod in the debate about the monarchy's future. Enter Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Since taking office, Starmer has promised integrity, scrutiny, and financial transparency across government. His government has not targeted the royal family directly, but his rhetoric about value for money for taxpayers has inevitably raised questions about royal spending. When journalists and MPs began revisiting the terms of Andrew's Royal Lodge lease earlier this year, Starmer's team was careful. No grandstanding, no direct challenge to the Crown. Just a calm insistence that Crown Estate assets, though legally owned by the monarch, operate in the national interest, and must therefore withstand the same public scrutiny as any other publicly linked institution. That nuance is crucial. The Crown Estate's profits already flow into the Treasury, with a portion returned to the monarchy through the sovereign grant. So when the Public Accounts Committee or the National Audit Office reviews those finances, it's not Parliament investigating the King, but Parliament ensuring the proper use of public revenue. Still, the line between oversight and intrusion is thin, and Starmer's careful language about accountability has been interpreted, or misinterpreted, as a direct political move against Prince Andrew. Meanwhile, King Charles has been walking his own tightrope. Since his accession in 2022, he has cast himself as a reformer. Slimmer monarchy, fewer working royals, less public subsidy. He has quietly encouraged family members who do not perform official duties to become financially independent. That includes Andrew, who lost his HRH style and royal patronages after his legal troubles. Palace aides have consistently told the press that the king wants a smaller, more focused monarchy, and that he has no intention of restoring Andrew to public life. Reports have circulated, and these are credible, sourced through established outlets, that Charles has gently urged his brother to consider downsizing from Royal Lodge to a smaller residence such as Frogmore Cottage. But the idea that the king has forcibly evicted him or stripped him of his dukedom is untrue. Those decisions would require specific legal or parliamentary mechanisms and have not occurred. What has happened is subtler. Andrew has been marginalized, excluded from official ceremonies, omitted from balcony appearances, and quietly reminded that his role in the royal machine is effectively over. So how did this become a global story of erasure? The answer lies in the feedback loop between social media virality and public distrust of official institutions. In late October, a series of unverified posts on X, formerly Twitter and TikTok, began claiming that Parliament had voted to strip Andrew of titles following pressure from Starmer. No such vote ever happened. But the mixture of plausible details, Crown Estate leases, parliamentary inquiries, Andrew's long-running controversies, made the rumor believable enough to explode. Influencers repackaged the narrative with dramatic language. Breaking, King Charles cuts off his brother. YouTube channels and meme pages turned it into digestible drama. adding invented dialogue and mock palace statements. Within hours, millions believed it was official. The story's emotional architecture, family betrayal, political intrigue, royal downfall, made it irresistible. But when journalists traced the claims, there was no government record, no parliamentary motion, no statement from Buckingham Palace. What we had instead was a vivid illustration of how modern media ecology transforms speculation into perceived fact. Behind the scenes, though, the themes the rumor touched are very real. There is political pressure for greater transparency about crown properties. There is frustration within parts of the palace about Andrew's continued presence at Royal Lodge. There is an unspoken understanding that Charles's reign will be judged by how decisively he manages the legacies of scandal left from his mother's time. And there is a prime minister who understands that appearing to stand for accountability against privilege plays well with voters weary of austerity. In that sense, the viral fiction mirrors a genuine social mood. Britain wants its institutions, even its most symbolic ones, to justify themselves. Consider how this dynamic has evolved. In the 1990s, scandals involving royal finances or marriages were treated as tabloid gossip, embarrassing but ultimately private. Now, every revelation about royal funding prompts parliamentary questions and public debate about the monarchy's constitutional role. The line between celebrity culture and constitutional scrutiny has blurred. When Starmer's ministers talk about every pound being subject to review, that includes, at least rhetorically, the sovereign grant. When anti-monarchy campaigners like Republic call for the abolition of hereditary privilege, they frame their arguments not in ideological but fiscal terms. Why should we fund this? The Andrew saga, real and imagined, sits right at that crossroads, a story about one man's downfall and an entire system's accountability. King Charles understands this better than most. Those close to him describe a man deeply aware that the monarchy's survival depends on public consent. He cannot be seen to protect his brother at the expense of that consent. Yet he is also a father and sibling who values loyalty and discretion. The compromise he struck, allowing Andrew to remain at Royal Lodge as a private tenant while excluding him from official duties, is designed to neutralize public anger without publicly disowning family. Whether it works remains to be seen. Opinion polls show a majority of Britons still disapprove of Andrew and think he should give up his residence. But they also show that most people respect Charles's effort to modernize. In that balance between mercy and management lies the heart of his reign. Meanwhile, Keir Starmer's role in this narrative, though exaggerated online, reflects a wider political recalibration. For decades, British politicians avoided entanglement with royal matters. Even when the Queen's finances were questioned, prime ministers stressed that the monarchy was above politics. Starmer represents a generation less deferential. His emphasis on transparency isn't anti-monarchist, but it does signal a shift. No one, not even a royal, is beyond audit when public money is at stake. That principle, articulated carefully, allows his government to uphold constitutional boundaries while appealing to populist sensibilities. It's a shrewd move, one that may define future interactions between Downing Street and Buckingham Palace. What's striking is how the fake story of Andrew's erasure captured the public imagination more powerfully than the real nuanced situation ever could. In the world of algorithms, emotion beats accuracy. A headline like King Charles quietly negotiating lease terms with brother will never trend. King Charles erases brother will. Yet buried inside the false drama is a kernel of truth. The monarchy is being reshaped, not by palace coups, but by the slow grind of accountability, media scrutiny, and public opinion. Andrew's isolation, though not total banishment, symbolizes that transformation. He is, in effect, a private citizen in all but name, his royal life suspended indefinitely, his future uncertain. This episode also reveals something broader about modern information ecosystems. A rumor that begins as clickbait can quickly become a perceived reality, forcing institutions to respond. Buckingham Palace issued no formal denial of the erasure claims, because doing so might have amplified them further. Instead, it relied on established journalists to clarify the facts. But by the time clarifications circulate, millions have already moved on, remembering only the initial shock. For the monarchy,